All right, welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're jumping into a book that, honestly, turned a lot of conventional wisdom about money on its head for millions of people. I'm talking about Robert Kiyosaki's Rich Dad, Poor Dad. The whole thing is really a story, a simple but super powerful story about two dads, two totally different ways of thinking, and how that shaped everything. And it all kicks off with this one major disagreement.
So, you've got these two totally different philosophies right at the core of the book. On one hand, there's Kiyosaki's actual dad, his poor dad. Super educated, PhD, the whole deal. And his belief? The love of money is the root of all evil. But then you've got his best friend's dad, the rich dad. He dropped out in the 8th grade, but he had a completely different take. He said, no. The lack of money is the root of all evil. And that one single difference, man, it just changes the entire playbook.
You can imagine, coming from such different places, they had completely different ways of looking at life. You know, Poor Dad's whole game plan was about how to work for your money. But Rich Dad, his was all about how to make your money work for you. And you can really see that split in the advice they dish out.
Just look at this. It's so telling. Poor Dad's advice? It's all about being a good employee. Study hard so you can work for a good company. Makes sense, right? But Rich Dad's advice flips it completely. Study hard so you can buy a good company. See the difference? One path has you climbing the corporate ladder, the other path has you owning the ladder. That tiny one-word change sets you on two completely different financial journeys.
And you know, following that traditional advice, the get a good job path, well, the book argues it often leads people into this trap. It's a problem that affects so many hardworking people. It's a cycle that's so normal, most of us don't even realize we're in it. Kiyosaki calls it the rat race.
So, does this whole thing sound a little familiar? You get a good job, you start making more money. Awesome. But what happens next? Well, your lifestyle kind of inflates to match it. You get a nicer car, maybe a bigger house. Pretty soon, you need more money just to keep up. So you work harder, you chase that promotion, you get a raise, and the whole cycle just starts all over again. It's like you're running faster and faster on a hamster wheel, but you're not really getting anywhere. You're just stuck.
When you really break it down, the harsh reality of the rat race is that you're not really working for yourself. Think about it. You work for your boss to get that paycheck, then you work for the government because they take their cut in taxes before you even see the money. And then you work for the bank, paying off that mortgage, the car loan, the credit cards. You're caught in this endless loop of making money for basically everyone else.
Okay, so if that's the trap, the big question is, how do you escape? Well, according to Rich Dad, it all boils down to one single powerful rule. And this right here, this is it. This is the entire foundation of Rich Dad's philosophy. This is the big aha moment in the book, the part that really changes the whole game.
And there it is. Sounds almost too simple, doesn't it? You must know the difference between an asset and a liability and buy assets. But here's the kicker. Kiyosaki says most people, and I mean most people, don't really get this distinction. And that misunderstanding is at the very heart of why so many people struggle with money.
So let's forget all the complicated accounting jargon for a second. Rich Dad's definition of an asset is super simple. Does it put money in your pocket? Yes, then it's an asset. End of story. We're talking about things like a rental property that brings in monthly rent, or stocks that pay you dividends. The key is cash is flowing to you.
And a liability? You guessed it, does the exact opposite. It takes money out of your pocket. Think about your mortgage, your car payment, your credit card bills. For all of those, the cash is flowing away from you. Just understanding that simple direction of the cash flow, that is everything.
And this creates a huge difference in what people focus on. Most of us, we're obsessed with our income statement, our paycheck. But the rich, they focus their time and energy on building up their asset column. They're building the engine, the machine that's going to generate income for them, even when they're not punching a clock.
And here you can see the two patterns laid out, clear as day. For the poor and middle class, income comes in from a job and then flows right back out to taxes, housing, all the other expenses. It's an in and out game. But for the rich, it's different. Their assets generate the income. That income covers their expenses, and whatever's left over, what do they do with it? They use it to buy more assets. It creates this powerful, amazing cycle that just keeps building on itself.
But here's the thing. Buying assets isn't just about, the technical stuff, the buying and selling. It really demands a huge shift in how you even think about money. It's not just what you do, it's all about your mindset. And that mental shift can be as simple as changing just a few words. Poor Dad's go-to phrase was, "I can't afford it." And that's a statement, right? It's a full stop. It basically shuts your brain down. But Rich Dad, he would ask a different question. He would ask, how can I afford it? And that's a question. It opens your brain up and forces it to get creative and start searching for answers.
Now this is one of the biggest game changers that financial education gives you. For most people, employees, the order of things is pretty set. First, you earn money, then you pay taxes on it, and finally, you get to spend whatever is left over. But the rich, often using corporate structures, can legally flip that sequence. They can earn, then spend money on things related to their business, and then pay taxes on what's left. Just changing the order of those steps, it makes a world of difference to how much wealth you can build.
So, all of this kind of builds up to the book's final big idea. If you actually want to build that asset column, if you want to think like the rich, where do you start? What's the first step? Well, it's not about having a bunch of money. It's about having something much, much more powerful.
And this is maybe the most important takeaway from the whole book. Your mind is your single most powerful asset. If you train it well, it can create enormous wealth. See, money can come and go, right? But what you know about how money works, that's what gives you real, lasting power. A well-trained mind can see opportunities that nobody else does. It can literally create wealth out of thin air, from just an idea.
For most of us, the biggest thing holding us back isn't that we don't have enough money. It's the fear of losing what we do have. That fear can be totally paralyzing. It stops people from even trying. But financial education, that's the cure. The more you actually understand investing, the more you get how money works, the less scary risk becomes. And the more you start to see opportunity everywhere.
Kiyosaki calls this knowledge financial IQ, and he says it's built on 4 main skills. First is accounting, basically being able to read the numbers and know what they mean. Second is investing, which is really the science of making money make more money. Third is understanding markets, knowing the basics of supply and demand. And fourth, the law. This means understanding the rules of the game, like tax advantages in corporations, and using them legally to your benefit. Getting a handle on these 4 things is how you really, truly build wealth.
So at the end of the day, everything we've covered, all the strategies, the different cash flow patterns, how to escape the rat race, it all comes back to this one central point. The single most powerful asset you have is your mind. That's the ultimate asset. It's the only investment that no one can ever take from you. And it's the one that will always, always give you the biggest reward. So we'll leave you with this one last thought, this one question. If your goal really is financial freedom, what's the very first, most important asset you should be investing in? Here's a hint. It's not a stock and it's not a piece of real estate. The most important investment you can ever make is in yourself, in your own financial education.